of the joys of Star Wars' galaxy far, far away is the incredibly designed starships and starfighters. Whether it's the sounds they emit or how they look and control, these spaceships are integral to the DNA of Star Wars, so it's only natural that fans out there would want a chance to pilot these iconic ships, namely the X-Wing. Luckily enough, many video games allow us an opportunity to try out these ships for ourselves, so here are 6 games that allow you to fly an X-Wing. Star Wars Squadrons. Become an ace starfighter in Star Wars Squadrons, where players can take to a galaxy far, far away in a thrilling conquest of the stars, battling inside an X-Wing. Squadrons is all about the dogfights, and players can enjoy these fights within the story mode or within the multiplayer mode. Squadrons also has a VR mode for players who truly want to immerse themselves in the Star Wars universe, being placed in a cockpit of iconic starfighters and becoming one of the greatest pilots to ever live. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Take to the stars in Star Wars Battlefront 2, braving the frontier with intensive battles and dogfights above the iconic planets. Players can enter X-Wings and battle against TIE fighters alongside the Millennium Falcon, fighting the Galactic Empire across a range of locations. Battlefront 2 also has multiple abilities for the X-Wing, and players can fly in first person or in third person. Whilst Battlefront 2 isn't fully fledged for the X-Wing like other titles, it's still a great game mode in a massive multiplayer game where combat takes the center stage. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. The Rogue Squadron games are iconic, so much so that a film was set to release based on them. Whilst the film has been shelved, the games still exist and are great content, especially the sequel Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. The game comes from the GameCube with great visuals and a grand use of its hardware to make the game stand out, especially as it spans the entire original trilogy. Flying an X-Wing in the Rogue Squadron games is smooth, and firing the ship's missiles and blasters feels great and responsive. Star Wars X-Wing Alliance. The final entry in the X-Wing series, X-Wing Alliance looks great, and with improved controls and better mission sets than its predecessors. Navigating past Star Destroyers and seeing the Death Star 2 in X-Wing Alliance is vastly entertaining and equal parts intense, whether players are in the Millennium Falcon or in an X-Wing. If there's something that X-Wing Alliance lacks, it's the in-game HUD, which is less immersive, so players won't have to rely on their cockpit to know their statistics, ammunition, and health. It's a feature that the other X-Wing games have, which makes them great, but X-Wing Alliance wins out due to its scenery, graphics, and mission. Star Wars Battlefront 2015. Whilst fights are commonplace in EA and DICE's first Battlefront, space battles are perhaps the most unique. In the Death Star DLC, the third expansion pack, Star Wars Battlefront players could battle outside of the Death Star and even download the Star Wars Battlefront Rogue One VR mission, allowing them to use a VR headset to embark on an adventure through the trenches of the iconic Death Star. In the game itself, players can fight across space against TIE fighter foes, manning the pilot seat of an X-Wing with stunning graphics. It's never felt so good, nor looked so good to fly an X-Wing. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga goes above and beyond thanks to the inclusion of the entire run of films from episode 1 to 9. LEGO Star Wars features plenty of amazing characters and locations, but being able to venture to them in an X-Wing makes it even better. Players can assemble a LEGO X-Wing to take to the stars, venturing into the openness of space and using hyperspace to visit new planets, moons, and space stations. The space combat also feels great, so if players run into a rogue squadron of TIE fighters, it's always a fun time. So that was our list of 6 games where you can pilot an X-Wing, and we hope you enjoyed.